Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I'll read some verses. I'll get that out in the open. If you're taking notes and want some homework, a good cross-reference also would be Ephesians chapter 5. Phenomenal chapter on families, husbands, wives, children. I'm going to pull something from 1 Corinthians 7, though, because it's something we don't often get into. We don't look at this aspect of what Paul wrote. All of 7 is really a beautiful comparison between singleness and marriage. And Paul's present preference comes from a missionary-minded attitude, and his preference was stay single and do the Lord's work. But the opening part of chapter 7 says this. I'm going to start in verse 2. Nevertheless, I say, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. And you go to verse 6, and now what I speak is by permission and not by commandment. Paul was never a married man, so he was doing his best to provide some insight. Quick backstory for those that were not here last week and maybe don't know some of my background to maybe understand why they felt it was good for me to stand up here with you. My mom's gone through 5 marriages. My dad's gone through 3 marriages. My mom and dad, my dad was my mom's second husband. They divorced when I was 2. Mom married her third husband when I was 4 or 5-ish. They lasted until I was 9. Mom married her 4th husband when I was 10. They lasted until about 2000-ish, 99, 2000. They divorced. Mom married her 5th husband. He was 15 years older than her. He passed away about 8 or 9 years ago, plus or minus. That is a mess, right? On my wife's side, her mom and dad are going to be celebrating 50 years of marriage next summer. 50. That's amazing. Just phenomenal. I'm thrilled I get to be a part of that next year. We're already planning a huge extravagant party for them and going to embarrass them tremendously, and we're looking forward to it. But inside of that, let me share just a little bit about how to have a successful marriage. So we just celebrated last month 23 years of marriage, and she still chooses to put up with me. But inside of that, as I've looked into my parents and their string of failures, and I look at Amy's parents and their success, and I look at my own marriage and what we've had to kind of scratch and fight and claw for to have a successful marriage, a couple things really stand out. Now, I could easily give you the standard Restoration 5 bullet point list: prayer, study, fasting, worship, and service. Do you do those 5 things, your marriage is locked in, right? But that's the foundation. Like, that's your starting point to anything that you do in your walk with Christ. That's your ministry at church, that's your friendships, that's everything. To me, that should be your foundation, that you just do that. That sets the stage for you to be able to have a vibrant, successful marriage. When I saw this, I loved this. That was a perfect encapsulation of the really hard work of marriage. Now, I'll tell you, marriage is beautiful. I'm looking at my married friends here. Yes, marriage is phenomenal. Marriage is also incredibly hard. And I saw that. I saw those eyebrows go up. You're going to have phenomenal times, and you're going to have low times. You're going to go through sickness. You're going to go through the loss of a parent. My dad died 11 years ago to cancer. You're going to go through a miscarriage in my wife's case. That's why our kids are 6 years apart. We have one that's in heaven right now. You're going to go through things that are going to test you. They're going to put burdens on you. You're going to have to figure out jobs and careers and life together. And you're going to take 2 completely different people and say, oh, let's put you 2 together for the rest of your lives and hope you get it figured out. Sad statistic, in the church, the divorce rate is no different than in the world. The restoration's a bit lower, but is starting to catch up, unfortunately. So how do we, exactly, thumbs down, how do we divorce-proof our marriage? First thing Amy Jo and I did when we got engaged and we got married, we said that word is not in our vocabulary, that is not an option. We will fight however hard it takes to make this work. Most days are great. My wife is a very low drama person, which is phenomenal for me. I don't get along well with drama in general, I have found. So we are well matched. And that's a key part of it too, is going into it. As you're looking forward to having that companion someday, make that a matter of prayer, that God can bring you who you need. If you weren't here last week, I talked a little bit about being single and what that period of my life of singleness looked like. It really was a preparation for me so that God could bring Amy Jo into my life at the time that I needed her. Any sooner, it would not have been a gift or a blessing to me, and any later, who knows where I'd have been. But God brought her at the right moment, at the right time, and for me into her life. I'm not going to sit here and be self-centered and think it was all for me. I think God used me to help her along the way too, though I think I'm the one that needed it more. But as we've gone through 23 years of marriage, as we've experienced the ups and downs and the trials of life, these things really stuck out at me. I choose surrender. Sometimes you just got to shut your mouth and say, you know what? She's got a better way of thinking about this. She's in my life for a reason. She's the wisdom in our family for a reason. I'm okay with that. Sometimes you have to surrender to God's plan inside your marriage. And when He takes you through the highs and the lows and everything in between, you know what the hardest part of marriage is? It's not the highs or the lows. It's the mundane. When life's just trucking along and nothing's really happening. Kids, newborn kids, will test your marriage. Lack of sleep, lack of food, lack of energy, lack of everything, and you've got to take care of a newborn. Yeah, well, got my gray hairs from somebody, Alyssa. Can you surrender to the plan that God has for you inside your marriage? And can you surrender your marriage to God? Huge, huge mindset shift. When you say, this is not our marriage, this is God's marriage, Lord, what would you have us do? Why do you have us together? Many of you have been around Amy Jo and me through a variety of camps and retreats and youth activities, and that's the ministry that God has had for us, is to invest into your guys' lives and to be a part of your lives. And you guys have been a blessing to us, of course, and hopefully we've offered something to you. I choose to love. When you're around your friends, you sometimes see the good and the bad, but you can leave your friends and go home. When you're in a marriage, you don't get to just leave your friends and go home. They're still there. And sometimes you're just going to bump heads, and that's life. I mean, it's human. Now, one thing that Amy Jo and I did, because of just what I saw in my parents, my mom's marriages especially, and her fourth husband from when I was 10 to the time I was 20, a lot of verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse was happening inside the marriage relationship. They fought all the time, name-calling, degrading, terrible things. And as I saw that, and I stepped out of that, I began to realize that I need to be intentional about how I interact with Amy Jo. And so I promised her, when we got engaged, we sat down and talked, and I said, I'm going to promise you, I will never, ever raise my voice at you. There will be times that I will be mad, but I promise I will never, ever raise my voice. I did it one time, 6 months in. It was a stupid thing, but she kept pushing my buttons, and I finally snapped. She'll ask her, she'll laugh about it. She knows. I threw a remote control at her and did not hit her. I threw it towards her. It's the only time I've ever yelled at her. I actually put in a built-in defense mechanism. If I get really angry, I will lower my voice and I will start talking softly. The kids are very well, when dad's voice gets soft, like they're used to the dad voice. But when the dad's voice gets soft, you better run for cover. Amy Jo has appreciated because she sometimes gets worked up and she wants to fight. And I'm just like, nope, we're going to bring this down. We're going to chill. We're going to talk. And she's like, okay. And so it brings her down and it just diffuses the situation. And so for us, for me, it's that being able to love her in a way that protects our marriage. Because I know humans, psychologically, when we get angry, we actually become insane. It's a psychological thing they found out. The brain actually starts disconnecting and temporary insanity kicks in. And you're not doing rational thought. So why not protect ourselves from that? You'll always be enough. I love this line. Hard truth. Your spouse will never, ever fully complete you. They'll make you happy and content, but they will never be enough. If you're not rooted in the gospel, if you're not rooted in Christ, you can have a beautiful marriage, but you're still going to be missing out on the full potential of that marriage. You both must walk with Christ individually and together. Praying together is a beautiful thing. I recommend it either in the morning, in the evening. When you get to that point, if those that are married, if you're not already, please do. I'd highly encourage you. It's beautiful. I choose forgiveness. Hardest thing you're going to face in a marriage is those times that your spouse throws a remote at you or does something that you disagree with or overspends on something on accident or fill in the blank, right? There are going to be times that we will in fact hurt each other. We are human. We are sinful creatures trying to do life together. Choose forgiveness. Amy Jo, when we do marriage counseling with people that I will do at their wedding, one thing that she makes sure that she tells them is don't ever go to bed angry. Talk it out, figure it out, fight it out, whatever you got to do, get that resolved before you go to bed. Otherwise, you give the adversary a foothold, and that will fester. And if you don't address it, it just boils and grows. And once the adversary has his hooks in that, he won't let it go. So choose forgiveness. Choose humility. I choose grace. Sometimes the other person just should get their way. And that willingness to say, you know what? It's okay. I don't need it my way. About a year ago, we decided we wanted some new couches in our front room. Our couches were 15 years old or so, maybe older than that. They were about 22 years old. So it was time. They were breaking. When you have a 10-year-old boy, couches break eventually. It's just natural occurrence. So I thought we were going out on a reconnaissance run. And a few $1,000s later, it was not a reconnaissance run. Exactly. Yes, I hear that. We did not necessarily get what I ultimately would have liked to have gotten, but we got what she really liked and would work well in our home. It's couches, but it's still that being willing to say, you know what? She's a part of this. It's okay. I might not get the shiny black leather couch that I thought I wanted. We got something else that works just as well. And there's grace inside of that. And I choose to worship no matter what I face. You're going to have the high mountaintop experiences, the camps, the retreats, the times you'll be serving together, the times that life is great, and you're going to worship. We love to sing campfire songs and choir songs in our home. Christian music's a natural way of life in our family. Our kids actually roll their eyes when we play anything but Christian music. It's kind of funny. As somebody who was raised on 80s and 90s country, the kids just haven't accepted my way of music yet, but such is life. When you go through the low times, you choose to worship. When you go through the hard times, you choose to worship. Because what that does is it recenters you on what truly matters. And it brings you back to that point that you recognize who you are in Christ and who you are meant to be as a couple. And when you have those things all figured out, and when you choose the Jesus way, husbands are going to love their wives as Christ loved the church. It's a sacrificial love. You're going to stay committed. You're going to stay together. You're going to not commit adultery and do all of those things. You're going to do what it takes to protect and guard your marriage. And when you do that, you'll have a tremendous, successful marriage.